Hey guys, welcome back to the Lovin Dubai show. Today's guest is Yazan Bawwab, two-time Olympian swimmer representing Palestine. He is also the founder of Swim Hope Palestine, an initiative that helps kids in refugee communities in Palestine learn swimming and life-saving skills. We're so excited and honoured to welcome him on the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
So you're sitting here with us. You're a two-time Olympian swimmer.
Yeah.
But why swimming? How did you first start? How did you get into swimming?
Yeah, so long story short, but really, of course, you know, I'm from Palestine. My dad actually had a dream to learn how to swim. He was a refugee, and that's quite it, really. You know, it's kind of one of those cliche stories, but that's real life. And we're a sport family, and we really look at sports as the way to go forward, and education, of course. So yeah, so my parents and my dad specifically.
So shout out to your dad for this incredible journey. So your dad was a refugee. Where did you grow up? And I guess where did your love from swimming start? Because I swam, you know, but I'm not representing Ireland in the Olympics, so it must have started somewhere.
Yeah, so I have a complicated life story. It's kind of, so I was born in Saudi, and then I grew up here in Dubai till I was 18, and I moved to Canada, and then I moved to the Netherlands. I was here and there in the UK, so I'm also part Italian. So I'm all over, but I mean, just kind of learning swimming and sports around the world, and especially from Canada. And I met a really good coach. His name's Pierre. You know, and you know, it's more that I learned towards. It's more of having a coach that's a mentor, like a life coach, you know, and not just wanting to be better in swimming, but better as a person. So I always tell this to everybody, but. When Pierre got me, he stood me in front of the pool and was like, okay, this is a pool. So you use the pool to be a better person. So how are you going to use this pool to work on yourself, on the fact that you have to also help other people with what you learn, not just technique, you know, all this kind of stuff, but, you know, not giving up, for example, or showing up consistency, you know, consistently training, or being around your team and all this kind of stuff, talking to people. And of course, I get to talk on TV a lot because of course I represent Palestine, and it really, you know, swimming and sports, it gives me a platform to talk about, you know, just being a better person, being a human being like everybody else, and yeah, we kind of use sports as a way kind of to bring everybody together, and yeah, so sports is good.
I wish I was taught that. My dad just threw me into the pool.
Yeah, no, I was thrown in the pool too, but I didn't have a choice much when I was a kid to swim, but nobody's going to want to hear that. So, no.
Did you always know you wanted to be an Olympian, or did life just take you to that direction?
No, I didn't know. I mean, I grew up here, so I was doing school, you know, like everybody else, and then you get to this part at 17, 18, you're like, are you going to study? Are you going to go to school? Are you going to swim? What are you going to study? You know, and that part was quite confusing. And then, you know, I think life works out itself. If you give your effort during your life, and if you hopefully put yourself in the right environment, because sometimes people are stuck in an environment. They have to leave, you know, do something else, go somewhere else. So I went to Canada, thankfully. Stuff happened, things hit you in the face like a bus. But sometimes that's for the best.
What was hitting you in the face like a bus?
I got kicked out of many swim teams. You know, school wasn't going really great sometimes, but thankfully I'm a mechanical aerospace engineer. And, you know, because I switched clubs, I went to meet better coaches. Because you know, I was looking for a job in Canada too, and I couldn't find one. But then here I am, I started my own factory here. We sell furniture, you know, also along with my father and stuff. So, you know, just because something ends up not going your way, that doesn't mean that's the end of the world. But, you know, especially with swimming, like, you know, I was put in a point where nobody wanted to coach me.
Why was that?
You know, I don't know. I mean, you can ask him now, but, you know, who's laughing? No, I'm just kidding. But it's like, you know, sometimes, well, in Canada, you reach an age where there's, also in Dubai, there's no professional level swimming, right? There's age group swimming, but then when you get to a really high level, you need really, really high level coaches, and it's limited, even in Canada, imagine that. And I had my university, so I can just, you know, and so even here, you'll find that with swimming or any sports like any sport really, you have to sacrifice a lot to train. And all these really top athletes will sacrifice a lot just to be training in high level positions. But, so I had to train myself sometimes.
So interesting being on the other side of this amazing journey, because obviously you've represented Palestine twice at the Olympics, but mentally you said coaches didn't want to train you. How did you overcome that and then I guess find the right mentor?
Actually, I'm very thankful for that, because I realized that I don't have to swim. You don't have to go to school. You don't have to swim. You don't have to do anything. You could sit at home and do nothing. And so, 1 or 2 or 3 or a week, you'll realize actually you want to do things. So rather than going to swim because you have to, going to work because you have to, you go because you want to be a better person, rather than having to go to work. Right. So everybody here, in sports and stuff, you have to go to play sports, or you have to go to the gym because you want to lose the weight or whatever. But learning to want to go there because you want to achieve something, you want to be a better person, that's kind of the motivation behind. But it takes a while to understand that. It's not easy. So you have to get hit in the face with a bus, and then you understand.
I love that.
Yeah.
So you presented Palestine in both 2020 Tokyo and 2024 Paris Olympics. Can you describe the difference between the two events?
Yeah, so one was COVID, of course.
Of course.
One was, Paris was quite nice. It's a little bit weird sometimes, but quite nice. The Olympics is really cool. A lot of people train really, really hard and can't make it to the Olympics. And so what it is, it's not the Olympics itself. It's like another event, but it's about what happens afterwards. You get a platform. You get to be quote unquote cool. I don't know why, but a lot of people, look at it like, oh, I'm not going to train if I don't want to go to the Olympics. And most of the most Olympians aren't like that. Like, you're training because you want to be faster, because you want to do better in the sport, not because you want to reach some event and go home. And so that's the difference between people that make it and don't, mostly. So, the Olympics is fun. It's cool. It's an event that, it's a world event that everybody watches and waits for. I had the privilege to represent my country. So I'm very honored to have that. We had 4 in Tokyo and a bit more in Paris, but we have 15 million people. So to be 4 of those, or a couple, it's cool. Yeah. It's cool, especially recently with the stuff going on with Palestine, it was very important. I play sports, so I'm there to kind of, it was important to show people that we're there as human beings, and it's about who's faster. You beat me or you don't beat me. And it's like, who's training harder, and that's the part that I enjoy, is that. I'm there. I show people that they don't expect Palestinians to know how to swim, and I'm like, oh, okay, they do. Okay. So at least that, or in a couple smiles from a lot of people and a lot of supporters. So I'm very happy and very proud to.
Interesting about the support, but as you said, representing Palestine in Tokyo during COVID, which was its own thing, and then in Paris 2024, which was obviously after the world began again talking about Palestine in 2023, and I wonder, did the support levels differ? Like, obviously it differed because of COVID, but did you face, I guess, more loving support, or a bit of discrimination?
A bit of both, and it's interesting because you realize that not all the, like, I got the same attention as probably like Cristiano Ronaldo, and it's like, am I cool?
Love that. Love that.
But the concept is that, do all the athletes get that? Are all the athletes worried about some guy coming up and asking you bad questions or shouting at you, or you being, So it was a privilege, but you have to take that privilege with caution, and you really have to spread love in the way that you can. But it's like a responsibility. Not everybody gets to do that, and you have to really, the athletes don't get to, people come to me and they don't ask me swimming related questions. So you really have to be very careful. You have to be kind of always trying to spread that you are just like everybody else, and you want, like, just normal things. And I just want to, I want to swim, I want to be happy, I want to work, I want to be successful like everybody else. And unfortunately, fortunately, people listen to me because I have this platform. So I'm trying to spread that, I'm just like everybody else. I'm Palestinian. I look like all these other Palestinians in Palestine. And we're just trying to be like everybody else. And that's it, like full stop. And so we're very happy to be in this country. It's fantastic. Gave me an opportunity to open my factory. That's kind of where my next part of my life is. And it's work, it's business. It's trying to sell people chairs. So,
got you. Well, you might have sold some already before the show, I'll tell you that.
When people come to you, did they want to come to ask about genuine questions, or they just wanted to attack?
We had a mix. Yeah. I had a lot of people, not necessarily, but you know, sometimes, and I learned this from a lot of people, but don't be mad. Because you know, like people on the road, they're like, you know, they honk at each other, they get pissed off, excuse my language, and like they, you know, act surprised. Act surprised. When you see something, don't get mad. Act surprised, like, huh, wow, I can't believe these people, you know? Yeah. So negativity, if you give it back with negativity, it doesn't work. So what you have to do is you just don't let it kind of get into you, but kind of just like bounce it right back, and people will be confused, you know? They'll be like, wait, isn't he supposed to react a certain way and he's not? So it's not, again, this whole Palestine thing, it helped me as a person. So if you look at things you do from your job and trying to translate it into your life, that's when things happen. And just trying to help people understand that they have a lot of tools, but they don't apply it to their own life. So I apply everything I learned from my swimming, from the fact that I represent Palestine and everything into my life. It's really good, and I hope that people realize that, you know, that I'm just like everybody else, like I said, you know. So yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Were you happy with your swimming performance?
No, that was not good. That was not good because like for every 2 Olympics, so I qualified, and then I had school, so I had to do my engineering stuff, so I had to focus on that. And then the second one I qualified, but then I didn't know how hard it was to run a factory, you know. So it just went downhill. But I was training, and then, you know, this whole thing happened with Palestine, and that like funding and everything went down, and I just kind of like got a little bit depressed, like, you know. But what it is that also taught me something. But I was working so hard on my personal life on my side, because at the end of the day, nobody's going to support you except yourself. And I think that's when you reach a level to be an adult, you realize that no one actually cares about you. No one's going to give you a job. No one cares. That, you know, they're always working about themselves, but like they're thinking about themselves. But you have to rely on yourself. Right. And so I've, you know, experienced that multiple times. Of course, the only person that supported me is my dad and my family. Other than that, no one will. Nobody cares that you're an Olympian to give you a job, by the way. Right. People are like, oh, you should get a job. No, because if I'm an engineer. They care about me being an engineer. You know, if you guys, with your job, if you don't know how to speak, you can't be a presenter. So at the end of the day, you have to just do your stuff yourself. Nobody will support you.
Go fend for yourself. Everyone is out.
It's so interesting because after Olympics, like one of my best friends was in Brazil a good few years ago, and like she said, the fall off after competing, because they're not always thinking about the next step, but it feels like you already had your eye on the next step before you even went into it, which was rare.
I do talks, so I consult with the Olympics too. So like I do dual career talks, and I kind of try to explain to all the Olympians, like, it doesn't matter that you're some fancy guy and you go on TV and you talk and you're in front of thousands and thousands of people, so you have some type of ego, I want to say. And I never let, like, I try never to let that in. Of course, nobody's perfect, but it's just, you know, they're trying to get Olympians to be recognized, but unfortunately, you have all these football people, you know, and I'm not against no sports. Okay, but they got a lot more money than everybody else playing sports in the Olympics. The Olympics, you don't get much at all. Like unless you're that 1 or 2 people that are really, really good. Even sponsors, it's not that good. Even stuff from countries, whether you think it's America or Ireland or Italy, you're not getting that much. And you're just, you know.
I think China gives a lot.
China it's quite good, actually. So my coach was head of the Chinese Olympic team. He left me. So that's why I went to the Netherlands, because he left me in Canada stranded with no coach, and he went to coach China. Thanks, Pierre, you know, for a lot of money. Okay, I don't know. And here I was, you know, just like, oh, he's like, hi, well, I got a good opportunity. So yes, they paid quite well.
Okay. Wow.
So yeah, this is why everyone is just trying to fend for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. But it's good. It's life lessons, you know, and you take it, you have something, there's a way you can go forward. If you look at this as the end of your life, okay, but you look at it as an opportunity, there we go.
You've had a lot of bumps in your life.
Very much, yeah. That's not it. I didn't even get started with that. Yeah.
So you have your own campaign. It's called Swim Hope Palestine.
Yes, yes.
And it started as a response to the high drowning rates in Gaza.
Yes.
So would you say it was because of a personal experience or any
Yeah,
memory?
so I am an IOC Young Leader, okay, which means that there's about a couple, I don't know, 20 in the world, which the IOC is the International Olympic Committee. And they've picked a couple people to do projects. So I submitted my project and they give me a big fund to support that. So my fund is against drowning. And I mean, the leading cause of death from 2 to 4 in all the world is drowning for kids. You know,
Wow.
so like drowning is a big problem. It's a very big problem, and kids die. So it's very important, like swimming safety and all this kind of stuff, to get your kids to actually learn how to swim, because if they fall in water, they'll die. You know, so. So what I wanted to do is apply that also in Gaza, right? Because they have an ocean right next to them, and hopefully the things get a little bit better to start to implement the program, because it was starting to implement, and then we had some situations going on, and then hopefully it'll be a little bit better. But what it is we're going to get a couple coaches on the beach to gather kids that are swimming alone, and to gather them and then to teach them how to swim, kind of. On the beach. So instead of, if you'll find kids playing around and stuff, so to grab them and say, hey, we'll give you a proper course. And so that's, we have the fund. We hope that everything is better, and that then we'll start to implement it.
How amazing. I feel like sometimes we talk about representation, and I imagine you are an amazing role model to so many young kids.
Oh, I hope.
I know you are, and I wonder if there are kids in Gaza or in the West Bank who would one day, dream of becoming an Olympian. What advice would you give them? Yeah,
so they talk to me all the time, on social media and stuff, and it's really hard, because what are you supposed to say? Even kids in Dubai. Right? Kids in Dubai, somebody comes up to me, he's like, you want to be an Olympian? He wants to be an Olympian. I'm like, really? We have all the great facilities here. And I don't think it's just, of course, in Gaza, it's a different situation, of course, because of the issues. But even here, we have all the good facilities, but there's still no sports culture. It's starting, they're doing it.
Cycling tracks,
They're starting, right? But it's more like event. So events are okay, but there has to be a legacy plan, which keeps continuing and
not
continuing.
just once a year.
Exactly, and kind of that's part of another thing that I want to do is change the culture around sports in Arab, because I'm Arab, right? I'm Arab. I lived in Dubai, so rather than just sitting at home eating chips, and I don't know what people, what do we do? Like just watch TikToks and whatever, or Instagram, and but actually implement it like in Europe, where it's part of your life. It's not a choice to not, you just have to play sports. It's just part of your life. And that's how I thought of sports. I never had, I'm going to go to the gym from 2 to 3. No, it was part of my life. Swimming is there. Other things will happen, but swimming is there.
At peak training, for people watching who would love to do it, what type of a rigorous training schedule were you looking at? How many hours?
Oh, at one point I was training 13 times a week. So that's sometimes even...
Whoa, 13!
Yeah, so that's twice a day, pretty much all of the days except one day. But then also gym and like that. But you have to get to a point where, if you want to get to that level, swimming is the only thing you're going to do. Nothing else. No school, no social life, no nothing. You wake up, you swim, you go back home, you take a nap, you eat, you swim again.
God.
You might go to the gym right after, and that's it. It's going to be 6, 7, or 8, and you sleep, you wake up. And it's consistency, but it's not about that. It's about, do you want to do that? Because I'll tell you, if you go up to somebody and be like, I'll give you $1 million dirhams, if you do that for 2 months, they'll do it. But the $1 million dirhams is a good motive, so they'll do it. But if you don't give them the $1 million dirhams, they won't. But so the ability is there. It's just, do they really believe? Do they really want to do things? And that's kind of I always ask myself. I always challenge myself. I'm like, would I do it if somebody gave me $1 million dirhams? Yes. Okay, then I'll do it. So that's what you have to reach. It's kind of a self. It's in you. It's in your brain. And you can do whatever you want, but it's only you stopping you, you know. And it's cliche to hear it on, you hear it on all these videos on Instagram and whatever, but sometimes, you know, they push it like David Goggins and whatever, you know, these people, and like, but sometimes they're actually saying things that make sense, because people are just, they don't trust in themselves, they don't believe in themselves, they don't think that they can do something. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody's gonna believe in you, except maybe your dad.
Honestly, I think that's the most honest answer we've ever had, because people will say consistency, they'll say push yourself, but what you're saying is no, you have to mentally.
Yeah, no, it's really hard.
Motivated,
It's not.
basically,
Yeah, it's not easy. I mean, if somebody is kind of making it easy, then I don't know if they've done it, you know. And all these people that have done it, they're like kind of quiet about it because they might think that the other people don't kind of have the. Can't put the effort in. I've only tested that with my swimming, right? I'm trying to get even more to that level. I'm not an expert, but I've seen people, I've been around people that are, you know, and they really, really, really believe in themselves. They're so confident. That's why you see some guys that are really, really, you know, self-absorbed. That's what tends to happen when you're only thinking about yourself. You tend to be self-absorbed, but you really have to have that. You know, you go to a competition and you see these guys, you know, the best in the world. And what is it? It's just them improving themselves. Is, you know, if they want to improve their technique, if they want to go to training more, it's about them improving themselves every day. And then you look at them and they're there and they're confident, you know, they like, you have the guys with the headphones like, I'm going to destroy the pool. I'm like, relax. Relax, bro. You're going to swim. You know, but they're pissed off, like in the back room, like, you know, they're looking at each other like, I'm like, relax, everybody. You're wearing Speedos and you're going to swim. Okay? Like, you know, it's interesting. It's really interesting. Different people have different things. You know, some, a lot of guys from the south like on the east, you know, like in Japan and stuff, they're just quiet. They're just staring at people, you know, and that's their way of looking like dead in the eye or talking. You know, sometimes you're sitting next to, and swimmers will know, you're sitting next to people because we sit next to each other on like plastic chairs. But anyways, but you talk to the person. Oh, hey, what do you think you're gonna do? You know, you're gonna do well. Yeah. What are you gonna push? This one, because there's semis, there's heat, semis, and finals. Are you going to push now? No, I'm not going to push. Oh, do you think you're going to go with this? And it's all mind games. You know, it's all mind games. Some people also, like, they take longer to get on the blocks. Like, they'll, you know, it's all mind games. So it's like, you know, when you get ready, some people will just be changing. The guy in the back still has his hoodie on with his earphones, and everybody's kind of almost ready to go. And so everybody's like, what's going on? You know, and it throws you off the race. It's crazy. These people are just
too competitive.
No, but it's okay, you know, and that's what they chose, and that's what they're working for, and I respect that.
Were you ever on the blocks with one of the greats, like Michael Phelps?
I have raced Chad Leclos. I also raced a really good backstroker, and I'm very good friends with a lot of them, by the way. But yeah, so Chad Leclos is a South African. I've been in the changing room with Michael Phelps also. I mean, all the Olympians, of course, and you know, and they're just normal people. They're just like you and me and everybody, and that's what they do is they swim. You go to work, they go to swim. So, you know, that's it. That's it. So it's not, you know, people like put them to a really high pedestal, you know, and I'm just like, okay, but you could also be that if you work. If you do your work really, really well, you are the Michael Phelps of producing or whatever, you know, but whatever. But it's the idea is I give respect to anybody that works hard on themselves. It's not just about the swimming, but sports gives you a way to look at it because it's interesting, you know. If you see somebody who's really good at their job, in their desk job, I mean, you don't look at it like that. It's not cool. But when it's swimming, all of a sudden it's cool. But at the end of the day, everybody's working on themselves, working really hard. So I really respect people, especially like my dad, who went from nothing to now giving us a life and allowing me to have all these things that I have. So those are the people that I look at. I'm like, wow, I respect that. You know, it's not just like swimmers who've come from nothing. And it's training at the end of the day, you know. So anyways, but.
Would you join another Olympics?
No.
No.
No, I'm done. I'm retired. I work now, so
Let's talk about work. What is next on the vision board for Yazan?
Well, so like I said, I mean, I tried to sell you guys chairs before this, but run a furniture factory. So we assemble Italian components of furniture. We do sofas, we do all sorts of things. We sell them to our clients that sell them to people like you guys, so I'm not technically supposed to advertise too much. But if you guys find me, you can buy furniture for free. No, I'm just kidding. But it's quite, it's really nice. I mean, the market maturity is quite well here. People like brands, people like Italian stuff. People like stuff that look good. Sometimes they really look for really cheap stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, I started about a year and a half ago. We're about 80 people now.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm very proud of that. So using my dad's networks and everything. So of course my dad pushes me because he always told me like he went from nothing to for example 10 out of 100, and he wants me to go from 10 to 20. So my goal is a lot more than just what we have now. And that's kind of the mentality. Not I have to start from working a McDonald's job like everybody thinks. It's like no, you got to learn the value of money. It's kind of the dumbest thing I've ever heard, to be honest. You have to have your kid go from where you are to the next step. Not go back to where you were to then get them to also pass you. What? That don't make sense. I don't understand people just, and people in Dubai understand that. In America and Canada, no. It's like the successful dad, wants his kid to work at like some really low-level job, cleaning the floors. My dad, I told him, I was in Canada, I was like, hey dad, everybody's working, can I work? He's like, no, if you want to work, you can coach. You can do something that you're teaching people or managing, not working under people. So also my experiences in work were always in the position to like tell people what to do, not being told, and that kind of creates something in the kid or in me also to, it's like, I want to do what I want to do, and that's it. So we
interesting philosophy.
And I sell fire extinguishing fluid. I consult also. So I do a lot of stuff. But the main thing is at the end of the day, I want to be happier as a person, and I want to make my dad happy, and that's life. What do you need more?
Nice. What do you need more, really?
Religion also. Sorry. Yeah.
Getting some lovely comments in, basically saying what an inspiration you are.
Oh, I hope. I don't look at myself as an inspiration, but I look at my dad as an inspiration for, my message is my dad's message, kind of. It's like I'm trying to just show them what my dad went through, and that's a result is me. I'm kind of like I'm the person who speaks on that. But if they, Palestinians in general and people who work hard.
I would say you represented Palestine twice for yourself at 2 Olympics as a swimmer. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us this morning. Thank you, Masa.
Thank you, Casey.
And that brings us to the end of the Lovin Dubai show. Have a beautiful day. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning, same time and very same place. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.